Welcome to Hoops and Headspace, the podcast where mental health and sports intersect. I'm your host, Jada Rich.
I'm your co-host. Hey,
For sure. So today we got a guest with us. We're going to give her a moment off top to talk her talk.
What's up, everybody? Happy to be on here. My name is Zoya Robbins, Coach Z. I'm a softball coach in Bristol, Tennessee, at a Division II university. Definitely a basketball family, but we started to pick up a softball when I was like 12, 13. They were like, "You're tall, you're big, you can pitch." That took me through college. I played Division II softball in Minot, North Dakota. After that, I started my graduate assisting at Minot State University, finished up at the University of South Dakota. Coaching wasn't always the first choice. I got my degree in corrections and then my master's in sports management. So, really, two ends of a spectrum here. I'm from Aurora, Colorado, and I've just been everywhere, and softball has taken me everywhere. And that's why I have so much gratitude for the sport. And that's why it's a really big piece of who I am.
So
Cool. Yay.
today, Coach Z, we're going to explore the mental and emotional challenges coaches face, especially navigating the low pay, high expectations, and constant pressure. So we're going to start off with what initially drew you into coaching and what kept you in it.
Yeah. I definitely didn't think I always wanted to be a coach. Initially, I went to school to be an elementary education teacher because my dad was my fifth grade teacher. So I thought that's what I wanted to get into. Then I switched into criminal justice just because part of me was just like, you got to learn the system to change the system. So that was my first passion. And then honestly, that not until I graduated and got to go play overseas for a bit, that's when I was like, okay, I like coaching because when I was overseas, I was the only one speaking English, and so there was a lot of like coaching, like with my actions and stuff. So that's kind of what drew me to it. But the main thing that took me to coaching was definitely like the mentorship, being a mentor, but also being able to be a mentee at the same time is what drew me to coaching, and I think that's what's keeping me in it right now.
For sure. So at what point did you realize, like, as far as coaching, there's a mental and emotional challenge or challenges within it, rather?
I probably realized it as a player
For
because
sure.
as a player, you know what to expect of yourself, but for a coach, you're um accountable for multiple people. You're supposed to be like on 100 all the time and everything like that. And I knew it was going to be a challenge because I know how to do it, but how do I teach it? And just like finding different styles and stuff. I knew it was going to be hard once I figured out like not everybody's going to like the way you coach. And so that's one thing that I've just been trying to learn as well.
Yeah, for sure. And so, what are some big misconceptions people have about coaching?
I actually wrote this down. I think the biggest misconception is that coaching is easy. I also wrote down that coaching is the only thing that we do, but I think we all know that coaches have so many different jobs within the job. And I think that those are definitely the two biggest misconceptions. It's like it's an easy job and that's the only job that we're doing.
You are preaching today, honey.
bro,
Yes.
I'm getting a little so.
Uh, Before we dig into the topic of wages and pressure, just explain kind of what made you make that TikTok that day. The TikTok, explain the TikTok and then explain what made you make it that day.
6 months to a year before that TikTok, I had made something a little bit more fiery, a little bit more like targeted at the university, targeted at the president, the athletic director, just the system in general. And I was asked to take it down. And so I came into this situation where I was like, how do I express how I'm feeling and how I want things to get better? And so that's what I was like. But like honestly, the frustration I'm not, you saw in the video, like I genuinely was mad. And so I figured it was an opportunity, honestly, to just be honest about like, hey, like my game day vlogs are fun and cute, but like this is my real life, too.
Yeah.
And so that's just something that I wanted to relay, something that I'm not shy about, something that I'm not scared to do either, is be honest about what my reality is as a low-paid softball coach.
Most definitely.
So, yeah, I definitely just felt called to do it, but also it was honestly the anger because like you look at your bank account and you're like, crap. You're like, crap. Okay, now
Mhm.
what? And I'm like, whatever. I'm going to go to TikTok and get out my frustrations. And I did. It honestly did. It made me feel so much better. And I got to be on here because of that TikTok. I had so many DMs, so many people commenting that could relate. And so it did exactly what I wanted it to do.
Yeah, most definitely. How did it make you feel to have so many people that related?
I mean, good, but also like, holy crap, why do so many people relate? It's obviously a problem. It's a big problem, but I did feel heard. I felt seen, and I felt like my opinion and my honesty wasn't just like crazy how I felt 6 months to a year ago when I said something about it in the first place. So that felt really good.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
How
Mhm.
do wages impact the coach's mental health and overall well-being?
As a coach, you got to turn it on and you got to be able to turn it off as well. After making that video, I was in my car and next thing I know, I got to go into the office and get ready for the day, and actually do my job. And so it affects our well-being because it can only be who we are for like just a millisecond. And so as far as it affecting my mental health and my overall well-being, I'm generally a stressed out person. And so when one more thing wants to stress me out, like that just took me to through the roof with low wages and our mental health is like making sure that it doesn't affect us so much to the point that it's affecting the way we coach and the way that we're addressing our players and things like that. I've learned the tools and everything on balancing and juggling and everything like that, but the low wages is not something that I can personally fix. So I would say that that's what affects my mental health the most.
Yeah. And so on like a day-to-day basis, like a real reality
Mhm.
check, you know what I'm saying, to look into your day-to-day basis, how do you balance the passion and that financial stress?
Yeah. Holy crap. Because wow, because I don't know, but I'm a passionate individual and I'm passionate about all things good and bad with the job. It's hard a little bit to balance, especially wanting to balance our passion with our financial stress because it's like we're climbing two different ladders of like the good ladder, the bad just being things that we want to get better, and the good just being things that we want to be greater. So financially, like it feels like I'm so deep in this hole doing something that I love. So it's very confusing. I'm just handling it day by day the best that I can. I
For
don't think
sure.
there's a balance.
Yeah, it ain't. And so have you ever like experienced like burnout or question coaching or finding something that's better pay?
I've for sure experienced burnout, mostly just because of the way I do things and how I do them. And so the burnout, it feels like it comes faster, but that's because I'm doing things the right way and doing things how they're supposed to be done. And so when you're trying to do things how they're supposed to be done and then also dealing with stress, the burnout comes a little bit faster, I would say. It's also been hard here at this institution just because it's just me and the head coach. And so we're just doing everything. And so the burnout comes fast, but it also leaves fast too, because we have to have a short memory. And days that I am feeling burnt out or the challenges are really getting to me, that's just when I just take a step back and really just try and reset literally in the hours that I'm sleeping or something like that and just try and like go at it again the next day. I didn't know I was going to experience burnout. It just happened.
Yeah. So what's some of them things like that you didn't know you was gonna experience that burnt you out?
I didn't really care when I got out of grad school. I didn't care where I was going. I just wanted a job. And I think the things that have burnt me out the most are honestly things that are outside of softball. I'm in Bristol, Tennessee, and I'm from Aurora, Colorado. And so it's just been experiencing two different worlds. And so that's something that I have definitely had to like take a step back from because I'm so passionate about everything, like I mentioned earlier. And so, things that I am passionate about that I didn't care about when I got out of grad school because I just wanted a job, like the politics, the religion, the environment here, the whatever, like everything like that, just things that just came out of not left field. It just was a lot more different than I was expecting. It's not Aurora, Colorado.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. let's talk about this. How do you feel like, those financial limitations affect the quality of leadership?
Doesn't affect the quality, but it definitely does. Because there were things like even when it came down to this summer, like we have weeds on our field, and that's something that I need to go pick up, but it'll take me days to go do. And it's something that I feel like I'm not getting paid for. So I'm like, why do I have to do this? Why me type vibe? And so if the girls were there, I could sense myself being a little bit salty. And I know last year was my first season last year, and I could definitely feel myself take a step back unintentionally. And just because of the financial step back, because why am I giving 150% to a place, an institution, or whatever it may be that is not even giving me worth for me? I would like to say that it didn't affect my leadership, like as far as like who I am at my core and as a person. I don't think it affected that, but there were definitely days where I'm like thinking like, oh my God, I would so much rather be working at my second job so that I could get some more money or whatever it may be. Our off days aren't off for me because I'm already working at a different job, you know? So there's just a lot of things that go into the leadership part for sure, but the financial part definitely has a play in it. Icing
sure.
people out too, if I could.
Right.
I would be
You
icing
feel
them
me?
out.
Me too.
Hey,
You know what I'm saying? Out top. But now we're gonna talk about the mental and emotional load for the coaches. Who pours into coaches? Who pours into
Mhm.
Coach Z?
Yeah, I was talking to my head coach about this today because we were going to go pick up chalk in a nice little car ride. But I was like, obviously you pour into me. The person that I'm working for pours back into me. We're just going back and forth,
mhm.
really like keeping each other alive.
Right.
But I will say, like, I do feel as much as I'm pouring into my players, they're pouring it back into me. I do feel fulfilled in that way. And also, what you call it, the institution, the university should be pouring into us, whether they are or not is a mystery. But they should be pouring into us. I just feel like in order to keep coaching, and in order to feel like my cup is being filled, I need to feel that reciprocation of like the people that I'm pouring into.
Yeah.
Not that it's tit for tat or anything like that, but if I'm doing XYZ for you and you can't whatever, show up to practice 15 minutes early, like what's the point? But coaches in general, I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell who pours into their cup because there's just so many directions we're being pulled. And especially coaches like myself that are far away from their families, we're like trying to rely on people that we don't actually know. It is probably the coach themselves.
I got a question. With you being so far away from home, has it played like a big mental part?
So initially I didn't think it would because I thought I was used to it because Minot, North Dakota was about 14 hours away when I went to college, and I was there for 4 years and I was like living it up. But I can feel it now for sure, especially kind of like how we touched on earlier, the environment that I'm in, maybe not being something that I can relate to as much is I can definitely feel that separation more just because I don't have many like-minded people around me. So I would definitely say that it's taking a toll on me a lot more than it usually would.
Yeah. And so, what are some signs that a coach is mentally and emotionally drained that people may not realize?
Exhaustion, like the noticeable exhaustion. The exhaustion shows, and whether it'll show physically, it'll show on your face. You can't hide exhaustion. You really can't. When I am mentally and emotionally drained, my fuse is short. It's so much shorter than usual. I would also say another like physical thing is like distancing themselves. I would think that when coaches are mentally and emotionally drained, they need to take a step back, and their step back, since they've been needing to take that step back for so long, it happens to be 10 steps back, and then that's when it becomes noticeable.
So, how do coaches set boundaries without feeling like they're, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to turn your players
Yeah.
off. You know what I mean? So, how do you still set boundaries without
I need to answer
making your
because
players feel
Yeah.
like that?
this year, this is my first year being an assistant coach, so I need this. Yeah.
I would say that boundaries need to be set firmly at the beginning of the year. That's one thing, is you can't just be setting random boundaries throughout the year because then that's what catches your players off guard. Honestly, first year out, even when I was a graduate assistant, I had zero boundaries. I had none. I will do anything you need me to do. Just let me know and I'll be there in 2 minutes. And I mean, going back to burnout, like that's how you experience burnout faster. You say yes. I was a yes woman. And I think this year, the main way that I set a boundary was maybe not saying yes to everything. So
Yeah.
that is something that I did better this year at the beginning of the year, of just saying like, I do want to be there for you. I will be there for you, but I'm a human and I have other things to do and I can't do everything.
So
I would say that boundaries need to be set firmly at the beginning of the year. That's one thing, is you can't just be setting random boundaries throughout the year, because then that's what catches your players off guard.
how do coaches separate their identity from wins, losses, and athletic performance?
Yeah. This one's so hard. This one's so hard, especially when you feel like that is your job, or that's what everyone on the outside world thinks your job is, to win. I think it's hard for coaches to separate their identity just because of how large that outside influence is. Because if everyone else is expecting you to win, it's really hard not to think like, oh my God, this is who I am. Oh my God, this girl just went 0 for 3. What am I doing wrong? Oh my God, this girl just let 4 bombs go over the fence. Like, why am I such a bad coach? Like I take my players' successes and their failures very personally. And I think the way to separate it is to really just learn how to unplug and to learn how to like focus on who you are as a person and focus on who you are at your core outside of coaching, outside of the wins and losses. If you put so much value on those things, that's what's going to keep you in that circle.
For sure. So, and what does healthy leadership look like in a system where you're wearing a lot of hats?
I think healthy leadership starts with honesty and just like letting people know where you're at and who you are in that moment. Are you going to be honest about it, or are you just going to compartmentalize it? And also just like being able to be an environment that you can be honest. If my boss didn't want me to be honest about the things that bother me, like we probably wouldn't work out. Because that was something that we had already addressed in my first interview, was like who I am as a person, who I am on TikTok, who I am in real life, things like that. Like being honest from the jump is definitely
For sure.
the way.
And so now let's be broad, let's be vague here. How can schools, programs, or communities better support coaches beyond just performance expectations?
So let's just say you're lacking in the financial area. How can they support me otherwise? And I was thinking like, there's so many ways. There's so many ways. Like, maybe just like being interested in what I'm doing outside of work, providing housing, maybe providing a meal plan beyond performance expectations. I think most schools do that. And I will say that if most schools didn't, there wouldn't be collegiate athletics, because we would just have a bunch of angry, overextended head coaches that don't feel supported. And that was another thing too, about a year ago, that I was thinking about, is what exactly am I working for outside of wins and losses? What exactly am I trying to do here? And I think that pouring into our girls and pouring into different programs like around help as well. And I think that supports coaches as well. Like just like things like SAC, meals, professional development opportunities. I think that is super huge in what keeps coaches maybe that are underpaid at institutions, because they feel supported in other ways. They feel like, okay, even though I'm not getting paid much, I feel like I'm still growing into a better coach or individual because my university provided XYZ.
For sure. And I like that answer. You ain't say give me $1 million.
No, yeah.
Those
Small
are
stuff.
simple, doable
I don't need that. I don't need that.
things. And what changes need to happen in sports culture? Hey, what's gonna get me? I seen it. I seen that eyebrow go up.
Oosh.
To better protect coaches' mental health.
Yeah, I think it's just like, it sounds so cliche, but just like remembering that coaches are humans too. people have so many things to say. People think that they can do things so well, and they think that they can do things better than you. And there's just so many opinions, and it's not like that for literally any other job. Like we were saying earlier, like, what if I walked into your mom's dental office and was like, hand me the toothbrush, bro. I'm ready to go. Like, I'm ready to get to sizzling this lady's, because this is how I would do it, and I think it's better. Like, in sports culture, to protect coaches' mental health, like, they put yourself in our shoes. That's the only thing really I can say is like, okay, you truly think you can do this better? Like, go ahead and do it.
Make sure you tell your boy.
Or just be
Tell your boy.
quiet.
That's the clip, Jaden. That's
Tell
the
your
clip
boy.
later.
Yeah.
That's my main thing. Could you do this? Could you
sure.
really do this?
For sure. I love that answer.
Some great answers.
If there's a coach right now who feels overwhelmed, underpaid, and undersupported, what would you want them to hear?
What I want to hear right now is that, like, it's all going to work out. I would like to hear that it's going to get better, because that's the only
Yeah.
way. That's the only way. It has to. Like, it has to, because I'm the one doing it. Like, it's going to get better because
For sure.
I'm doing it. I try and now focus on the things that are great for me, especially in this situation. What's good for me right now, even though maybe I am overwhelmed, underpaid, and undersupported, what's good for you right now? I would like to hear that it's gonna get better, because that's the only
Yeah.
way. That's the only way. It has to. Like, it has to, because I'm the one doing it. Like, it's going to get better because
For sure.
I'm doing it.
I love that. I love that.
Podcast.
so-
thing.
Coach Z, we have a talk your talk in the beginning where
Yes.
you give your info, you tell us who you are, where you from. Then we have a talk your talk at the end. This is where you give yourself your flowers. You congratulate yourself. You talk about all the things you have done, all the things you are doing, and the things you have coming up. You know what I'm saying? This is where you let them know about the
Okay.
TikTok, you and Grizzly, everything you want the folks to know.
Yeah.
So Z,
Yeah.
talk your talk.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in a really good spot right now. I feel like things really just started for me, so that's a reassuring feeling. I'm feeling like the sky's the limit. I'm feeling like really there is no ceiling for me as far as coaching, but I also think that I could pivot into so many different directions. Nobody will ever know what I'm about to do next, but I really would like to dive into TikTok a little bit more. It is something that I actually really enjoy. I enjoy doing social media for our team, for the school, things like that. I just want you guys to know that you won't know my next step
But
until
I like that. I like that. I might
Yeah.
steal that one. I might steal that
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
Telling
man,
you.
Coach Z, I do appreciate you and your
Yeah.
isms on Hoops and Headspace today, man.
You know,
For sure.
I'm
Yeah.
getting a lot of game.
Yay.
All right.
Thank you guys. I love to talk. So
Yeah, man.
thank
This,
you.
like I said, this is fun.
This is great.
All right, Tay, man. Let's close this thing out, man.
That's where I'm
This is that podcast, Hoops and Headspace, where mental health and sports intersect. I'm your host, Daddy Rich.
I'm your co-host, Tay.
For sure, and we're up out of here.